And I said, ma'am, I don't know where I am. Where am I? She said, well, you are in a hospital where children have cancer. And I passed by the room and I saw a little boy sitting up in the bed. And I walked in that room and I began to ask the little boy, I said, how long have you had cancer? And the little boy told me, he said, ever since I was 2 years old. When I began to minister and tell the little man, I said, little boy, I said, God can hear you. And whatever you're going through, God is able to bring you out. See it. See it. Well, as I began to walk out of the hospital room, the little boy, he said, sir, you forgot to tell me your name. And I told the little boy my name. And he said, if God doesn't deliver me, if I die tomorrow or if I die today, God is able. God is able. Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. Woo. Listen. He's able. He's able. God is able. Yes, he is. To do anything.
Good morning, good morning. Happy Saturday. It is a wonderful, wonderful day. Listen, I am so glad that you chose to join us here at Dear Life After on today. Listen, you could be doing so many other things, but you chose to spend this time with us, and we're so ever grateful. But guess what? You still have time to do what? Tag somebody. Go ahead, share this with someone. Tag a friend, tweet a friend, text a friend, whatever it is that you need to do. Because listen, somebody needs to be on here today to hear. Listen, this is Love Month. We're going to be talking about love all month long. And some of us know some stuff about love, right? Whether it's good or bad, ugly, whatever it is, we know about love. And so we're going to talk about love under new management on this month. So listen, we're not going to wait along for anybody because listen, this guest here, listen, she is a sister, she's a friend, she's crazy, but listen, she's going to tell you some things that are going to impact your life on today. And so you don't want to miss it. So we're not going to wait any longer to bring on my dear sister, my friend, Natasha Stanley. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Listen.
Okay, there we are. Good morning.
So listen, we're going to be talking about what? Love under new management.
Absolutely.
Listen, so many people can relate, I'm sure, right?
Right.
So I know that here towards the end of the year, you got baptized.
I did.
So just kind of tell what made you want to get baptized again, should I say?
Well, I got baptized as a kid pretty much because my mother enforced it to happen. And she didn't enforce it. She just encouraged us to do it. I did it over again because I needed a cleansing, I felt. And kind of dedicating myself more to God versus what I had been. So I thought about, okay, I'm going to do it for me. But I said, oh no, my sister and her kids are going to do it too. So I, pretty much pushed it along and we all got baptized, and my whole clique per se needed to be baptized, even though, Michaela might not know, what it means right now, but she will. So
you felt like you needed a new start. so to speak.
Absolutely. Pretty much. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I can kind of see that. And even in life, and not just in our walk with God, but so often we need to start over.
Yeah. 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 In a
Yeah,
lot
we
of
need to
instances.
and be
Yes.
cleansed from some things. I think that really applies to relationships.
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
And since we're talking about love, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so I think that this kind of ties in regards to, okay, so now you have a fresh start. You feel like you kind of let go of all those old things. Like I kind of want to leave those things with God and
Hmm.
start over fresh, you
Hmm.
know. And so often I think as women, we find ourselves in those situations, in those situationships, should I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not an easy decision to make now, is it?
No, it's when you love, you supposedly are supposed to love wholeheartedly. So, yeah, no, it's never easy. Sometimes it's a turmoil. So, no, it's not easy.
But the one love that's not a turmoil is the love that we should have for Christ.
Absolutely, that's first. Yeah,
Yes.
that's first. But in reality, we get caught up. So, yeah,
We
that
get caught up.
absolutely we get caught up. That's the human side of us.
Ah!
We
So
get caught.
when we get caught up, like what do you think gets us caught up?
Are we lying?
Yeah, we live.
No, no, you told uh sex. Sex hinders a lot of things. A lot of women lose train of thought instead of them being caught up in the Lord, but instead of caught up in what they need to be caught up in, sometimes it's used as a tool
Whose part?
on it's both of it's both of it's both parties. Both parties. It's not
So
always the
you
lady. It's not always the lady. It's the men too.
so you think it's used as a tool to control the person, or what? I mean,
Sometimes,
elaborate. Tell me what you're talking about.
some,
Like, keep
some,
it real.
sometimes it can be. Sometimes it can be. For instance, I'm gonna just use my last relationship. Um, our communication skills were okay, but when it came to bedtime, there was it. We conquered that. It was a great thing, but uh, you wanted to you wanted to control me, meaning uh if I cut up, you might give it to me and you might not. So it could be get, get yourself together.
Okay, so you say cut up.
If I didn't do what you wanted me to do, you know, uh if you were having a whatever day and I wanted it and you really didn't. Like I said, you pretty much wanted to control me that way. And I know that sounds crazy, but you I don't even want to call the person's name, but he was something else. That's the way he controlled me. That I guess because I'm physical, that's how you controlled me mind wise. You tried to.
Okay, I mean, and I guess I can actually see that from both parties, so to speak, and how that would work. So, like I said, we'll go back to we're not focusing on the relationship we should be focusing on, and that's the one, with Christ, because then nobody can get us caught up, so to speak.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
And it's not saying that people are not in relationships and living their lives. But I think so often we lose focus.
Sight. Yeah.
We lose sight of what's of the relationship that's supposed to be the most important relationship. Because then, because if we're focusing on the most important relationship, then we don't have to worry about being in those types of situations, right?
That is true.
I
That
mean,
is
that is that, but is that the real ultimate goal for everyone?
I can't speak for everybody. The ultimate goal is to do what you're supposed to do in Christ. Um Again, like I said, I feel a lot of people get caught up. Uh you lose yourself. After a while, sometimes you only want that instead of it's especially if stuff ain't going right. You want that. I want to look at the human side of it, but I know I have to look at the way that I need to look at it too.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what happened is that people see you and they say, "Oh, okay, well, you know what? You go to church, and you're this, you're that, and but so you deal with this." Well,
But that
yeah,
don't mean
because
nothing.
I'm
You still human. I don't care. It's a lot of monsters in the church. You it is. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And everybody ain't in there for the same thing. You got folks that's in there to seek and ye shall find. So everybody's not in there for the same thing.
and you know what, and that's true that everybody's not in there for the same thing. Okay, but if you're someone, okay, like you went, okay, you've gotten baptized. I mean, and and we've talked about this, like you have a gift. So, I mean, like your discernment is real, real, real heavy, so to speak. So, what about the people who they don't have or have not tapped into that? So they don't realize that this person that's approaching them and trying to engage with them in the church is not for the right reason.
That's why we gotta pray. We gotta pray, and we have to talk to God. And then you have people that you can go to and talk to as well. One thing I do know about God, He won't leave you astray. So things that, like my mama used to tell me, everything that look good ain't good for you. So
Absolutely.
God, I believe He'll send people uh, to help you along the way.
I mean, and I do believe that he'll send people. But at what point are we supposed to be accountable ourselves?
Like I
Because
said this
yes, I
morning, when
mean,
you
I mean
know better,
we're
you do better.
but what happens? So what do you think happens? Like we know better, but we're not doing better.
If you got a conscience, it's always there.
Okay, it's there, but I'm stuck.
So then that's when you got to pray harder. Then you got to pray harder, and you got to get by yourself, get in a quiet space so you can hear. And one thing I can say about myself, this go round, I got going back to the baptism. I got baptized because I needed to listen and I needed to hear things that I've ignored. And so, like I said, the refreshing part, I asked God to help me because I need it. I've made a lot of poor decisions, and it wasn't because it was because I took my own initiative to do things, but instead of me waiting,
Hmm.
because that's what the name of my heart is. It's called patience, and so I've I want to be patient, and I want to be a better listener because I can sit in a room sometimes and just look at stuff and shake my head, and I say stuff to you and you be like, wow, okay. But yeah, you know, uh God has given me that. I mean, it's a blessing. Not always am I right, but again, I want to be able to listen. And that's where I'm at with that. Just a quiet, pretty much a quiet season. So again, things that I've ignored, um, I'm being made better aware. So
So, having been baptized, having gone through the things that you've gone through in regards to, your divorce, other relationships. So, what is your perspective now on loving after that pain? Like, do you feel like, okay, it's you won't, or that true love, that person that that you were made for and he was made for you per se? Do you think that that's there?
yeah, I mean, I've been through some stuff. So I still believe in love. And this season in my life, I'm asking God to give me what He thinks I need to have, not what, because I already got in my mind what I want, but I'm asking God to give me what He thinks that I need to have. And I told a friend of mine the other day, I'm a butterfly, and preferably I don't want my wings to be cut. And see, you start cutting at my wings, you're not gonna get the best out of me. So
Mm,
if you
okay.
just let me be me, and that doesn't mean me mistreating you. I believe in family. My mom and daddy raised me well enough that I know, you know, what to ask God for. But I do know that if you just start trying to chip away at me, you're not gonna get the best at
And
all.
you know what? And I think that's so important. I think that sometimes in relationships, people, um, it's a true statement that hurt people, because if you're in a relationship with someone and they're not healed because they don't even realize that they're hurt, so then let's say you have a disagreement, you have an argument, and then we say things that we can't take back,
Yeah, it's called trigger.
and you say things because you're angry, but you're lashing out because you don't know that you're hurt.
You
you know
know,
how do you deal with that? Because the one thing that we do know is that we can't save somebody. I've had to learn the hard way. That was one of the things that God dealt with me about, is that it ain't your job. You're not the savior. You know what I'm saying? Quit
but we
thinking that you
show
can
think
save.
I don't. You're right. We aren't the savior, but I wonder, is it a matter of? Well, I mean, okay, yeah, saving. We'll stick with that because
And I don't mean saving them like Jesus Christ saving. I mean,
yeah, help.
save.
Yeah, build
Yeah,
a bear.
like
That's what my sister called it. She called
what?
it build a bear. Assisting. Yeah.
Okay, what's Build the Bear?
Build a bear is when you build them up when they're torn down. I don't have a problem with that. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm building you and you sitting over there in the cut, then it becomes an issue because you're not assisting like you need to in self. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
But can Build the Bear assist? I guess that's the thing.
Hell
Because you
yeah,
know what?
build a bear can assist.
I never heard it put like that. But listen, when I tell you that makes so much sense,
What would you
because
consider a build a bear to be? Build a bear. What would you consider it to be?
but but because I'm thinking about, you could go. I remember taking one of my nieces and nephews when they were smaller to the store, Build-A-Bear. And so in
Okay.
Build-A-Bear, obviously you go in and you build the bear. I mean,
Just
you
like you
give them
wanted to
all
be
these
good.
things that you
Yeah.
want them to have or that you think they should have.
Hmm. Hmm.
But can we realistically do that to somebody else? Can we give them the things that we think that they should have?
We do it all the time. We do it, whether it's called assisting or or whatever. It's done. It's done, and we do it unknowingly sometimes. And see, a lot of people do stuff and they hide their hands. So
Girl, be quiet.
yeah,
Mm.
it can be done. I know a lot of my friends say I'm too nurturing. You're so nurturing, but my deal is like in my marriage. I'm gonna use that as an example. My husband was an addict, and he didn't look like one, but I know whatever he did had something to do with me, and so I always tried to make sure, even though my mama was calling the kettle like it was, I tried to always make sure that when he was presented to everybody else, that he didn't look like that. I mean, if I got to put myself together, I kind of put myself together. So hell, I don't want you to be looking like you, and everybody be asking me what's going on, and you know, I all I can say is what I say. So yeah, and don't get me wrong, I still might do it. You know what I'm saying? But I know better now versus what I did. So I I might, but one thing again, going back to God, God ain't gonna let me be a fool. He's not. Whether it be my
Absolutely.
mama telling me, whether it be you, even my niece, you know what I'm saying? She 4. So, she say little things too. So again, it's about me listening. Cause I know a lot of stuff. If it don't, I had a
Absolutely.
problem.
You know what? You know what? That is on point because God will not let us be a fool, but it's a
No,
matter
he
of
won't.
will we listen?
He'll bring anybody to you too. Yeah, he'll bring anybody to you.
Because, in this day and time, though, when you think about love and relationships, most people, because it's a microwave kind of era, because everybody wants stuff now, like they don't want to wait. They don't understand some stuff got to go in the oven, they got to cook,
Yeah, yeah.
but we want it now. And so people are so quick, or it didn't work, so they just move on, just divorce and move on per se, because when we take those vows, and it tells us, it reminds me, it talks about, you know love is patient, love is kind, like it doesn't keep record of wrongdoing, all these things that it tells us. It doesn't boast, it's not self-righteous, it doesn't envy, but are those things that we really try to make sure that we are honoring in all our relationships, whether it's with a mate, whether it's in our friendships, in the relationships, with our parents, our siblings, are those things that we try to live by.
Hmm.
As we really think about, love, a lot of times when people think about love, okay, they're thinking about a relationship, they're thinking about with their spouse or their mate. But you have to love your siblings, even though you might not like them sometimes,
Hmm.
because we didn't get to choose
No,
who
we
our
didn't.
siblings were. We didn't get to choose who our parents were. Those are not choices that we made.
Hmm.
So are we trying to practice,
What we
that type
put?
of love in our relationships?
No, I feel like a lot of people are scared. Um, I can use again, my marriage for instance. I believed that he loved me, but I also believed that he didn't know how. I'm learning that, my mother taught me to love you through whatever. And so that's how I wanted my marriage to be. I loved him through his addiction. I loved him through nobody coming to see him, none of that. I loved him through all of that. But when it came down to me and a deathbed, you spent your wheels. And I have a major thing about, the vows. You're talking about love through sickness and in health and to death. I got a real bad, that's a trigger for me, because if you love me through without, you don't walk away. You stay the whole fight, and that's what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
It's not like you're not gonna argue. It's not like you're gonna agree, but you agree to disagree. And so, I believe love it overrides a whole lot of stuff. You know,
It
I
does.
I think I pour my heart into uh, a lot of stuff that I shouldn't. And so I'm that friend that you could be going on and on, and I'm like, look, just get yourself together. I'm the I don't want to say I'm the encourager. I'm God has given me the gift to encourage other folks. Now I ain't gonna tell you that I might be able to do that for self, but I can encourage the hell out of you. You know what I'm saying? And will tell you, you know, what is what when it comes to
Hmm.
yourself or whatever. But
Absolutely.
I'm not. My mother didn't teach me to damn you to hell because you made a mistake. And I believe everybody deserves a second chance, and that's why I stayed in my marriage, because I saw the good in the individual.
Hmm.
But see, just because
Absolutely.
you will, don't mean I have to. So
Absolutely. But what about that person that finds themselves in a relationship and the other person doesn't know how to love them?
that's why people should get counseling before they get married.
Hmm. Okay.
And I say that my counseling, we didn't get through with it, but I believe that if I would have got through with it, he'd have probably made us redo things, because sometimes we know a lot of us just ignore the fact that it's there, and we want to give a second chance. And for me, I don't ever want to see I can see stuff, but I still feel like I need to give you another chance. I don't want to see the bad that the world is saying, or that you're even showing sometimes.
Okay. Okay. And I think that's probably more common with women, with us, than it is with men, because whether we have children or not, by nature, we're nurturers,
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I think that, so when people sometimes say, well, you don't have kids, you understand. That's not true, because by nature, I was built
To
as a
nurture.
nurturer, because that's
Hmm.
who God created a woman to be, so to speak.
Hmm.
So it doesn't matter if I have birthed someone physically or not,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think that in love, so often it will blind us.
Yeah. Yeah. See, a lot of folks will tell you what they ain't gonna do, and girl, I ain't gonna do that. But behind closed doors, you'll do a whole lot of stuff that don't nobody know nothing about, but you and God.
Absolutely, because that's who knows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the thing, I think about, how, people or women will, because it tells us, and we know what we want in a man and a husband. uh, and I think that as society overall, we've gotten away from the fact, for us who know, it says,
Mm-hmm.
he that findeth a wife findeth a good
That
thing.
is a good thing. Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah.
she that findeth a husband,
Yeah.
but he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing,
Yeah.
you know? And I think about that. I was listening to actually another podcast uh, that I watch from
Mm-hmm.
time to time, called Dear Future Wifey. And
Okay.
so, uh, and of course, this is leading up to, he is looking and waiting for his wife, so to speak,
Okay.
and he writes her these letters, this podcast, and so he always have people on, different people that are married. Some people are single, some people have been through things, and so if somebody knows Latarius Whitfield, let him know that I need him to come on to Dear Life After. Uh,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So if you know Latarius Whitfield, tag him and tell him, listen, he needs to get in contact with Roslyn Long at Dear Life After. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, and so it just makes me think about how, he's waiting, and he was talking about how, dating, and somebody was asking him, well, if you dated for 2 years, he's like, there's no way we're going to date for 2 years and
Yeah.
we're not married.
Yeah. It doesn't
It
make
doesn't,
any
it doesn't
sense.
take that, because if you are the person that God has sent me, then why do I need 2 years? And I think so often, sometimes as women, we settle.
Yeah. No, we settle a lot.
We,
We
we,
settle a
we
lot
settle
because we
because
don't want to
either
be
we're
alone.
afraid,
Mm-hmm.
we're afraid, we forget who we are and whose we are.
Mm-hmm.
So we go along to get along, and we forget that that's not what we have to do. And so then we find ourselves in situations that we shouldn't be in, but yet here we are.
Mm-hmm.
And it
And
happens.
like you just said, uh, it's a lot of lonely people, lots, and they just accepting whatever. A lot of women are not all, but you got a few women that are accepting things just to say they got somebody.
Oh,
You
absolutely. But it
know?
also goes back to the thing that you said. I know, like for me in my personal situations, it's been because you see something in the person, or you keep wanting to see the good,
Yeah,
and it's there.
that's normally
You
why
know,
you stick around anyway, because you see
absolutely.
you see the good. But what I have learned is I you got to see it too. You got to see it just as well as me seeing it. And if you don't see it, then it's not gonna work. It's just
But
it's
you
not.
know what? I think it's deeper than that. I think the part that for the men that they don't see is that they don't see that they're broken. They don't see that they're hurt, and that they need to be healed from some past trauma that they don't want to admit, because they're letting their ego get in the way. So they don't want to say, look at here.
Yeah, but you know what I've also learned? Us, meaning women and men, when we've been broken down from our mamas and from our daddies and things that have happened, we take them right into the relationships, and it just everything. My last experience have been based upon how the people's childhood was. I didn't have nothing to do with that because I know how I was raised, but it was it was a mess. And a lot of people don't know how to let that go.
Hmm.
They don't know how to let it go. And like you said, past traumas and past experiences, a lot of people just they don't know how to let it go. And yeah, lying is a it's 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 something else. You can't
You cannot.
no, you can't do that and expect me to uh continue to be in something with you when that's pretty much what we live in is is a lie.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because it doesn't make sense. But I think that that goes back to when you love some, the thing I was talking about, saving or thinking you can save people, because when you
Yeah.
do love someone unconditionally and you realize that that person is hurt, that they're broken, what do you do? What do you do? I mean, you praying, you know, you're talking to them, you got other people talking to them. I mean, so what are you left to do at that
Stand.
point?
Just stand, as the song goes. You gotta. You gotta. You gotta walk your way through it. I know you asked me this once before. It's rough, and it's not easy. But again, that's when God will send people to you and even if you gotta listen to the same story 1,000 times, to me, if you love me, you gonna ride through this mess with me. Yeah, I'm gonna get on your nerves, and you gonna get on mine too. But you gotta continue to
But do you
talk to God.
ride with that person at the cost of you, so to speak?
You
Because at
meaning
what because at what point do you say
enough
that,
is enough.
yeah.
Like the song goes, when you've done all you can, you I can handle a lot of stuff that you can't, and you can handle stuff that I wouldn't. So that's a good question, Roslyn. That's really a good. It's a good question. I'm gonna have to come back to that because I don't know how to answer that right now.
Because,
Yeah,
I mean, because that's real stuff.
yeah,
And
it
I
is.
think that, there's somebody right now that's saying, okay, I prayed and cried. I've talked to them. I've 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 done beyond, you
I
know.
I had to stay busy when I was going through my mess. I had to stay busy. I did a lot of weeping, and I talked to is my mother. Was she was a listening ear, but I had friends that were you was a listening ear. So you got to stay busy. You got to find something, whether it's getting into the church and finding your position. You got to find something, because the idle mind is the devil's workshop. You got to
Oh,
you
absolutely.
got to you got to stay
Absolutely. I
busy,
believe that.
because I
Yeah.
uh I was telling somebody the other day, I'm getting ready to experience, and I'm gonna just say this, and it's gonna
Morvale,
be.
ain't nobody think about you.
Yeah, but I'm experiencing, I found out my aunt was ill, and I uh I know she's gonna make it through whatever it is, that God has intended for her. But it's a matter, if something happens to my aunt, it's a matter of seeing my ex-husband again. And so I haven't saw him in probably maybe 9, 10 years. It's been a long time.
Okay.
So I know that if something happens to her, that I'm gonna have to face you, and you're gonna have to face me. And so I haven't thought about this person in years. But when I thought about having to face him again, then something came all over me all over again. And it wasn't love, you know what I'm saying? It was just it
Yeah.
was, it was a click trigger. And so we have to watch what our triggers are, because you don't know
Oh.
when you really think you over something. Because I
Mhm.
can tell you, listen, girl, I'm over this, and I don't. But if I see it, then it becomes something different. Or a voice, it becomes something different. And so some people know how to handle these things, and some don't. And that's when you gotta keep Jesus close, because When you love somebody and they have hurt you, you never know. You don't know what the trigger or the next step may be. I used to watch uh what was that? It was a sitcom, Snap. And I used to be like, how in the hell? Now that don't make no sense. But until I was put in a predicament, I understood, what that was. And so you gotta be careful because the older we get, we're emotional when we least expect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're,
Absolutely.
we're emotional.
And
I
I
don't care
think that,
how old you are. You are something to just, and even if you laugh it off, it's been bothered you a little bit.
yes, absolutely. 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 And I think that, Dr. Alonda was saying when you lose yourself and you're living more of a lie than the truth, you have to control the things you can control, and that is you. And and that's
That's not always easy.
that, well, not just not always easy, um, because only you can gauge, so to speak, when you lose yourself. You know what I mean? Like you looking in and me looking in on your situation, I can say a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean? Because my perspective is based on from the outside looking in and the information that you've given me. Okay. But there's always going to be some information that nobody's at privy to but you and God and maybe that person. So therefore, you will know if you've lost yourself and it's a lie, so to speak, what you're living versus the truth, And yes, you are the only thing that you can control, but I think it goes back to that part about when you're in a relationship, when you're in something with somebody and you know that there's good in the person, but for whatever reason they've lost their way and so things are not going as you desire them to be. So when you are a certain way anyway, so you're going to keep praying, you're going to keep crying, you're going to keep doing what you can do, like you said, because
yeah,
that's
because
just
you
who you
even
are.
you
Because
even
because
remember you
because
doing
love
good.
is supposed to be patient. It's supposed to
Yeah,
be kind. It's
yeah,
not supposed to be self-righteous. It's not supposed to be keeping records of what you're doing wrong and all those
correct.
sorts of things. You know, so when somebody else is looking in, they're saying, "Oh, well, you've lost yourself." Have I lost myself, or am I just doing loving the way I'm supposed to?
Yeah, and
You
the
know
way
what I'm
God
saying? And
created
only
you.
you can truly answer that
Hmm.
because you know if you've loved to the point where, okay, now this is too much. This is, girl, this is crazy.
Hmm.
Only
Yeah,
you will know that. And I
yeah,
think that that's what somebody needs to know is that, yes, I can tell you, girl, that's crazy. But only you know if
yeah,
you've loved to the point of it's crazy and you've lost yourself, or if you are just loving the way God has asked us to love.
correct.
And I think that that's what we need to, those are the questions to ask ourselves when we find ourselves in those situations and we're sitting there crying and crying out to Him. Well, ask Him. Instead of just, you sitting there praying about Him changing him or you or the things or whatever, ask Him, how am I loving the way you designed me and required of me to love, or have I lost myself?
Mm.
Because trust and believe, God is, like you said, He is not going to lead us astray. So He's going to tell us.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think that's what somebody needs to know. And if you don't know Him, then that's when you're going to have to discern because you have a gut feeling. So if you don't know Christ for whatever reason, you know, you're going to have a gut feeling that's going to tell you, hey, it's going to be something in your stomach. You're going to just, it will make you literally physically sick.
hmm hmm But like she asked, why do we stay? We stay because we love. And we stay because a lot of folks ain't got nowhere else to turn to. A lot of folks just they stay because they don't want to be alone.
And sometimes we stay because God hasn't released us.
But
He
sometimes I'm gonna
hasn't
say this.
released us. I
Sometimes
mean,
God
I
will
know for
release us,
me, there was a
and we
relationship.
go on our own our own assumptions. Sometimes He tell us, "Get your behind out of there," but
Absolutely.
you still be like, "No, no, let me just wait just a minute. I might miss something." See, it's something about when you put in all the work, and then another somebody come in and take what you build the bear and take it, and they go on and they treat them accordingly.
Girl, listen. Now that's some real stuff right there, for real.
Mm, yeah.
Because you be like, I did all of that, and then
But for what
you
I'm
like,
going to do, yeah, like I said, you'll either, and the moral of the story is you'll either deal with it or you won't, because at the end of the day, if you let the devil take control, like I said about my transplant medication, I don't want to go to jail because the devil is easy to slip in, and he's easily to turn you into a quick trick because
not a quick trick.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he will. He'll fool you until you can't be fooled no more. So you gotta listen and you gotta prepare. Yeah, you gotta put yourself in a position where you can tell other people, uh, don't if I was you, I'd think about whatever it is, because this might not be what you want. And you got people that'll get angry. A lot of people don't want to know the truth too, you know.
Now
So
that is definitely the that's some real stuff.
yeah, a
Some
lot
people
of
do
us,
not want to know the truth.
a whole lot
They
of
don't
us,
want to know the truth. And again, like I said, for me is you have to know that when you're in something and you praying, you crying, whatever you're doing, you got to know to ask him, okay, am I losing myself in this, or am I still here and enduring this because you haven't released me?
yeah, yeah. The problem is we,
Because
we
we are
better quit
supposed to
playing with
love.
ourselves. We better stop playing with ourselves because we know we know
Yes.
God gives you uh some sort of a discern that you know you have a gut
Yes.
feeling, like you said, it's just a matter of itself. But I don't care. It's not that easy. It's just not. And when you love, if you've been taught accordingly and you know God, you know what love is, and you know what's right and what's wrong.
And now,
But
and that's because she says, what about the person who don't know Jesus? The person who don't know Jesus, you still know right from wrong.
Mhm.
You still have intuition,
Yeah.
because that's something that we all have. You know,
Mm.
a woman's intuition has nothing to do with you
Like,
believing in Jesus.
yeah.
So you know you're gonna feel it within you.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
if
And
it's
that's
right or
why and
wrong.
that's why we cry. And that's why we can't sleep. And this is why come our hair is falling out. And this is why come we got diabetes. You know what I'm saying? Because
Absolutely.
we don't
Absolutely.
we don't take heed to what's before our face. We just don't.
She says, do they know right from wrong? A person's right and wrong is based on the environment they are raised in. Now, now I'm gonna say this for me. Now, that's not necessarily their right from wrong. That's what they've seen. That
Mhm.
doesn't mean that that's right or wrong, because even if you saw your mama, grandmama, whoever
Getting
with
the hell
Johnny
beat
and
out of
Jack
them.
all
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, at some point in time, growing up in the world,
Hmm.
just because that's what you've seen, that's because that was in your environment. You still have learned that that's wrong,
You know,
just because
somebody
that was what
somebody
you.
that showed you. You didn't watch somebody. You know it's wrong. You can my
She say
last
I disagree.
now you know what, just because I'm gonna just say it like this, just because my mama might have been a hoe don't mean I gotta be one. You know what I'm saying? I know that if being a prostitute is gonna give me a disease, it's gonna give me this and that, multiple children, I'm gonna look bad in the end. No, I'm gonna look at that and be like, hell no. So yeah,
I'm
come
not
on
playing with
in.
you.
Come on in, Alonda.
Yeah,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah.
Here we go. Here we go.
You should have been in here in the first
Let me
place.
tell y'all, no, ma'am. Look, y'all, I'm sorry the way I look, but y'all, this conversation is too good. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be producing this show. Now, I disagree, and let me tell you why. I went to church. I wasn't raised in the church. I knew the church. However, my environment taught me to thug a rugger. You do wrong by me, I'm gonna get you by any means necessary.
See, that was in you though.
So, who?
That was in you though. You do me, I do you.
Once again, because that was my environment that I was raised in. So again, I say this to the point that when a person is raised in an environment and they are unchurched, their church to them is the environment they're raised in. If my family are Black Panthers, then my lifestyle is going to be a Black Panther. It ain't gonna be nothing about Jesus. And I hate to tell you that. If my lifestyle is that women are treated as second class citizens, then my upbringing, whatever man I get with, he can love me till the wheels fall off. But if my mindset is a second class citizen, I don't care what you tell me. I don't care what Roslyn tell me. When I go back home to my environment, that second class citizen switch is going to switch on. Yes, I may know it, but I don't know how to comprehend it because it's never been put in my vocabulary. It's never been put in my environment, and nor is it an environment that is the majority of my life.
But at
so
some
that's
point,
why
and even though I get what you're saying, but at some point you have seen that it is something different. You've seen examples. Now, whether you want to acknowledge it because you're afraid,
She know
because
it because she in love with
this is
you.
what your
She
environment.
No. Let me tell you why. And let me tell you why I can speak on this. Is because I'm in a country where women are treated as second class citizens.
Mm-hmm.
They don't see us. We forget we are in the melting pot of the world where everything's into the US. But when we go to these countries in the Middle East and we go in these countries where they are not exposed to anything else except what's in their village or what's in their tribe, they don't get to see that. And they are programmed to be in fear as a woman.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get the Natasha. They don't get the Roslyn that says, girl, you better pack your bags and get out. No. They get the woman that says, be quiet, take that beating, and hope that he dies before you do. And that's real talk. And that's why I say I disagree with that, because whatever my environment is what I am prone to. And I don't care how much you tell me, because Rosalind ain't gonna go home with me.
Well, and I will say this. So in order for them to know different, they would have to be exposed to something different. So if they're not exposed to anything different, then yes, I understand exactly where you're coming from. Because we have to be exposed to something different to know that something different is there. So yeah, so if there's no exposure to anything,
if you haven't been shown, is what she said.
If they haven't been shown, then absolutely not. Yeah,
that's right.
Okay.
And so, and that's where that comes with that unchurched individual, that comes with that individual who's never even tapped the US. We keep forgetting we are a melting pot. So we are exposed to more than other countries.
So love is going to look different for them. Loving themselves is going to look different
and then what do you do?
Because anything else doesn't come into play, because this is their life. This is their culture. Mm-hmm. This is all they know. They've never been exposed to anything any different. So they're not gonna know watching working for my good.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna know.
But see, that's where
You think
that's where all the adjustments come in at too. I might be
and
able
you
to
think
adjust, and I might not be able to.
exactly. Go back to our ancestors who were slaves before integration.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The women were what? We were used as baby carriers for the master. Let's just call it what it is. This
Oh yeah,
dear life after.
absolutely.
So our ancestors paved the way for our life after. But prior
Mhm.
to that, that woman didn't say anything. She had the kids. She was subservient. She still had to serve the master's wife while she carrying his child because he knew it was good stock.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
again, that's all she knew. No matter what the Bible said, we know the Bible today differently, but for them, they were taught the Bible by the master. So they didn't know anything different.
Right, until they
So
were
even
exposed
if
to
they,
something different, and then it became
until
different.
until that daggum Harriet Tubman said, "Let me show y'all something."
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
so so
But
again, that love was
that's when again God sends people. He sends people. Can you imagine how
exactly.
many people being abused? But they don't know. That's what they grew up. And you gotta God gotta send somebody to get you
Mm,
out of the turmoil and gotta hold your hand. A lot of life things are
Mhm.
consistent of folks holding your hand. Because see,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
because
do
he sends
everything.
somebody,
Yeah,
and
you
that's
can't
right.
you
He
can't
sends
do
somebody, so
everything.
they waving the flag. Hey, hey,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Now,
and it
whether we
and you're
heed
not
to the
gonna
flag being waved, that's another
but you're
thing.
not but you're not gonna heed to it until you tie it. It used to be a
Absolutely.
saying that we used to say as women, don't bother telling her because until she's sick and tired of being sick and tired,
She can handle
Hmm.
whatever.
it doesn't matter what you say, she's
Yeah,
gonna stay.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
She gonna handle
We
it
have to get,
to the
and that's
real
with
stuff.
any relationship.
Mhm.
That's it. That's with parents, that's with kids, that's with family, friends, husband. That applies to
Mhm.
any relationship because you have some who want to be controlling, you have some who want to be passive aggressive, which I cannot stand. You want to have those who want to throw the rock and hide their hand. You
Oh yeah.
you and you still keep taking it because what did Roslyn say? You love them. Man,
Yeah.
look, let me tell you something. My
But
love got
see,
an expiration date on it.
but see, listen, you had to really go through some stuff to get to where you are.
Whew,
It's not
yeah,
that easy. And again, you
no,
it don't matter what you tell me, you can handle what you can handle. But some
That's
of the
right.
stuff
that's right.
that y'all handle, I know. And I can say, but behind
Because
closed
baby,
doors, I can handle it like a bully, you know?
because
Hmm.
that ex-husband that you had, that addict, baby, no ma'am.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah.
I'd have been like, going out there, smoke your life away. I got a
Well, you
black suit and
did,
some
you
insurance.
did, you did, and I let you. You did, but I'm gonna tell you this. You laughing, but I'm gonna tell you this. I went to church one Sunday, and I was done. I was just like, I can't keep doing myself like this. And so I went to the
Wow.
altar. And in my body, I had said, I'm not doing this anymore. And this is a true story. I went to church and Lucy and Linda, they started praying for me. Now I've heard people say, you spitting stuff out of your mouth. I've heard all of that. I went to the altar and it happened. And I had to go back and ask my mama what it was, and she said that I was purging. And I mean,
Purging.
after I went to that altar, I felt like I was a wounded victim. But I'm gonna tell you this: the next 2 days, he stopped smoking dope. The next probably 48 hours, we was working on a divorce.
Wow.
So yeah,
It ain't for the faint at heart. I'm gonna tell you,
It's
everybody's
not.
life struggles, everybody's
no,
life struggles and challenges. We
yeah,
can all, Rosalind said it earlier, we can all look on the outside and say what we would do,
yeah,
but you don't know it till you test by that fire.
yeah,
I promise you, you don't know.
yeah,
That's
It
yeah,
right.
just
You don't know till you jumping on them coals.
yeah.
You
Because
talk
they
about which
come
way do
and
I need
say,
to go?
yeah, they
Yes.
come, and if they ain't then came, they'll
Yeah.
come, and that's how you able to tell other people about things that have beat you
Right.
up, and things that have put you in a place that you never thought you be in, because all of us have been there.
Absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
reality is that where I am today, I do it all over again.
I don't know about that. I disagree with you.
I would.
No, I've been taught by
If
the
it
best.
brought me to where I am today,
Yeah.
Alonda would do it all. Well, the things that let me say this. The things that I knowingly did, I would do them all over again. But now the stuff that
you do
happened to
them
me that I
different.
did,
You do them different. You do it
no,
different.
I'll still be a slickster. No, I'll still be a slickster.
Now you see now they're killing people, so you can't be too slick. You know what
You
I'm saying?
sure right.
They
And
doing a
they got too
whole
much
lot.
social media. They got too many cameras around. You're right.
Oh my goodness.
See,
Well,
now I can say, yeah, I did it. No, were you there?
Yeah.
Because you can't say, look, see, I saw you. No, it wasn't me. What was that song? It wasn't me. Milli Vanilli song. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. That was my twin sister. You was hallucinating.
Oh yeah.
Bye, y'all.
See, I'm not fooling with her. Listen, our time has been well spent on today. So if you don't remember anything, remember, love is patient. Love is kind. Love doesn't envy. It doesn't keep records of all those wrongs that the person has done. I mean, and just remember that, that's really the ultimate goal, is to love how he has loved us. Like, that's what we want to do. It's not easy. We're not telling you it's easy. Trust and believe. And when someone else is looking on the outside, looking in, only you know when you've gotten to the point where you're losing yourself. But keep that in mind, to just love. Love. Not just in this month, but go through life loving on people. Love someone the way you would want to be loved. That's the easiest and best thing that I can tell you. Remember, we're here every Saturday at 11 a.m. If you want to support this ministry, please, you can Cash App us or Zelle us. We appreciate any donations impacting and trying to make a difference in someone else's life. It's not about us, but it is about Jesus at the end of the day, because that's what we're called to do, is to love as Christ has loved us at the end of the day. As my shirt says, watch him work it for my good. Watch him work it out, because he will work it out. Whatever the devil meant for evil, God will work it out for your good. And so we want you to remember that. And not just that, but here at Lonnie B and Company Network, listen, we have some amazing shows on the network. Listen, Lonnie B, Morning Tea with Lonnie B is coming back. But listen, on Sundays, we have Motivation Moments with Greg Bloomfield. And on every Thursday, we have Motivation Moments Multivitamin B every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us to watch Greg. And he's also on every Sunday at 7 p.m. with Motivation Moments with Greg Bloomfield. You don't want to miss this amazing man of God. Also, Manny Cush is on with Morning Bible Study every third Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss this. And then he comes back every second and fourth Friday with Africa Restoration Army Podcast live. Don't want to miss it. Listen, and then on the second and fourth Mondays, we have Blue Ministries at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You don't want to miss this either. Listen, and don't forget Morning Tea with Lonnie B. That's coming back in February, Monday through Thursday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So join us here. Like us, follow our page, Dear Life After, on Facebook and on YouTube. And share this with your friends. Share this with someone. And remember, as I always say, make it a great day on purpose.